All right, welcome guys. My name again is Dustin. I'm the lead instructor and owner for Krav Maga Waterloo. Today in this video, we're gonna go over our stance and movement, our straight punches, front kick to the groin, knee strikes, as well as choke to the front. So let's get started. All right, so the first stance we're gonna go into is our neutral passive stance. Now the reason why we call it a neutral passive stance is because I'm not really ready to do anything, but if I need to, I can get into a defensive or a fighting position really quick. So my neutral stance is basically, I'm gonna stand with my feet, hip the shoulder width apart, my arms are down this way. If I was in more of a natural position, we call this our natural passive position. So it could be, maybe I'm standing with my arms crossed. I could have one leg forward, one leg back. I could have my weight shifted on the one side or the other. So one, I'm neutral and passive. The other one, I could be just naturally kind of standing the way I normally would. Now, let's go into our fighting stance. So starting back into my neutral stance this way, I'm gonna keep my dominant side back. So for me, that's gonna be my right side. If you're lefty, your left side's gonna stay back. I'm gonna take a step forward with my opposite side foot, kind of like I'm walking down the street. I'm then going to lift my back heel up off of the ground. I'm gonna bend my knees this way. If I turn from this perspective, I keep my right side back, my dominant foot stays back, my opposite foot steps forward. I'm now gonna bend my knees this way so I'm nice and springy. And I'm keeping my heel up off of the ground this way. This ensures that I have weight and power transferring in my strikes in the direction I want to move to. As I'm in my fighting stance, I'm going to bring my hands up. I'm going to bring my elbows down towards my ribs, protecting my body this way. My hands are going to be up in front of my face, about shoulder width apart, 6 to 8 inches away from my face. If I turn face this way, I should be looking something like this. I'm also going to be tucking my chin, protecting my jawline, my throat, and my face. If I get hit, I'm going to get hit somewhere, hopefully in the top of my forehead or the crown of my head, and I'm going to protect my face, my teeth, and my eyes this way. Good, so now that we're already in our fighting stance, let's learn how to move around in our fighting stance. So from here, the thing I need to keep in mind is this: wherever I want to go, the closest foot moves first. So if I want to move towards you, I'm going to step my front foot first, and I'm going to push off of my back foot, and I'm going to move forwards this way. If I need to move backwards, I'm going to move in the opposite direction. My back foot's going to move first, I'm going to push off my front leg, and I'm going to go right back in my fighting stance. If I change angles, I want to think of opening my stance and then closing my stance. Opening my stance and then closing my stance. Same thing if I go backwards. I open, close, open, close, open, close my fighting stance. I want to make sure that I don't overstep with my back foot or that I inchworm my way across. I always want to maintain my fighting stance. By having a nice wide base like this, I'm a lot more stable and less susceptible to takedowns. If I have my feet closer together like this, much easier for somebody to tackle, grab my legs, and take me to the ground. So let's work on that. We're going to go back into our fighting stance. When I say go, we're going to take one step forward, stepping with our front foot, pushing and stepping with our back foot. Ready? Go. 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 Now we're going to move backwards. Now my back foot's going to be the one that steps first. Then I'm going to drive off my front foot. Go. 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 Forwards. Go. 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 Backwards. Go. 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 And time. So now let's go side to side. So maybe I now need to move laterally. So I'm going back into my fighting stance. If I want to move to my right side, my right foot's going to step first. So I'm going to open my stance, close my stance. Open my stance, close my stance. If I want to go over to my left foot steps, closes, steps, closes. So let's try that. 3 times going to the right. Ready? Go. 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 Now we're going to move to the left. Go. 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 Back to the right. Go. 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 And to the left. Go. 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 Good, now let's take all of those movements and let's put them together. So we're going to start in our fighting stance. So I'm going to call a direction. If I say forward, you're going to take one step forward. If I say back, we're going to take one step back. If I say left, you're going to move to your left. If I say right, you're going to move towards your right. Ready? From our fighting stance. And forward, forward, back, back, right, right, left, left, right, back, forward, forward, left, back, right, right, left, left, forward, back, and time. Now that we're feeling comfortable with how to move in our fighting stance, now let's play around with it. So going back into our fighting stance, now all I want you to do is just move around on your own. So just moving forwards, moving backwards, moving from side to side. If you want, you can even change your angles. You can face different directions. Now, instead of just stepping with your feet like this, maybe now try to be a little bit more springy in your step. Less robotic and a little more fluid. Again, we're just kind of playing around with our stance, getting used to being able to move, maintaining our fighting stance. Again, moving in all different directions, forwards, backwards, and sideways. Now that we're getting comfortable with our stance and movement, let's move on to punches. Going into my fighting stance, this is what our straight punch is going to look like. Changing angles. So before we even start throwing our punches, let's work on body mechanics. I don't want to rely just on my arms and my fists to do all the work. I want my shoulders, my hips, and my legs to also help. So we're going to go back into our fighting stance. We're going to cross our arms like this. All we're going to do, I'm going to focus on turning my shoulders. I want to think of tucking one shoulder behind the other shoulder. As I rotate my upper body, my hips are also going to start to rotate. My back foot is going to start to pivot on the ball of that foot this way. I can also rotate the other way. Drawing my right hip and shoulder back, sending my left side forward. Now all we're going to do, we're just going to go side to side. Side to side. The bigger the rotation, the better your punches are going to be. Good. Now let's add our arms into the equation. So I'm going to turn this way, going into our fighting stance. So now what we're going to do is this. I'm going to imagine like I'm reaching for something way out in the back of the shelf this way. So I have to turn my shoulders, I have to turn my hips. I'm rotating off of my back foot. As I reach out, my opposite hand is coming up to my face. So I know I'm protected on this side of my face this way, and I'm going to come back. I rotate and back. Reach and then back. Reach and then back. Now let's do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm going to rotate my right side forward, and then I'm going to come back. I rotate and I come back. I'm also making sure I'm keeping my chin down the entire time I'm sending out that punch. Now, I wasn't making a fist before. Let's learn how to make a proper fist. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take my hands, I want to open up my hands this way. I'm going to take my fingers, I'm going to curl my fingers once into my knuckles this way, and I'm going to curl them a second time. Now I'm going to take my thumbs, I'm going to think of wrapping my thumbs on the outside of my fist this way. What I don't want to do is I don't want to have my thumb tucked on the inside of my fist. By having my thumb tucked, I'm creating a space inside my fist. So now my fist isn't as hard. I'm going to end up damaging my hand, or I can end up damaging my thumb on the inside. The more I can think of tightening up the space inside my fist, now my hands are turning into rocks. I'm going to cause more damage to my target than I'm going to cause damage to my fists. As I'm delivering the punch, I want to focus on sending my first two knuckles outward this way. This is the contact surface I want to make with. I'm not rotating my fist, my thumb is going down to the ceiling, but rather I want to keep my thumb up and my pinky down. This is going to keep my punch going in a straight line. What I don't want to do is I don't want to have a giant loop to my punch this way. I want to make it as undetectable as possible and get as much power transferring forwards into my punch this way. So let's try a couple of these. Going into your fighting stance. When I say go, we're to punch with our lead side hand. Think lead foot, that's going to be my lead hand. When I say go, ready? Go. Go. Make sure you exhale on your punch. Go. 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 Now let's do the same thing on our right hand. I'm rotating, sending the punch out, and then coming back to my face. Ready? Go. 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 Now let's make it into a combination. So we're going to start with our lead side hand first. As this hand travels back, my hands are going to meet somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to send my punch out this way and then back in my stance. Ready? When I say go, we're going to throw those two punches. And go. 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 And time. Now that we know how to throw punches to the air on our own, maybe you happen to have a heavy bag at home, or maybe you have somebody to train with to hold pads for you. This is what our punches should look like while we're hitting the target. Key things to keep in mind when you're punching to a target, I want to make sure my fist stays nice and straight. What I don't want to do is I want to hit and then buckle my wrists this way. This is where it's also important that I make contact with those first two knuckles. Now, as we get more advanced, I can take my thumb from pointing up to the ceiling and I can add a slight rotation to the end of my punch. All that rotation is going to do is ensure I get a little bit of extra power and drive behind my punch. When I'm hitting the bag, I don't want to just think of hitting the surface. I want to think of hitting somewhere in the middle of the bag or the other side of the bag. If I have somebody with pads, I want to think of punching through the pad and through the pad holder. One more time, working those punches. Awesome. Hopefully we're feeling good with our punches. Now let's talk about an option to our straight punch. Because I'm hitting with my fist, there's a lot of small bones. If I hit the wrong target, maybe I'm hitting somebody in the top of the head, maybe we're fighting on the ground or against the wall. If I miss the target and I end up hitting the wall, or like I said, I hit something solid with my fist, I can potentially break my knuckles. So I can now change my striking surface from my two knuckles to now hitting with my palm. Basically everything stays the same. The only thing that changes is now I'm opening up my hand this way. I'm trying to extend my fingers back as far as I can, tucking my thumb into the side of my hand this way. I'm also making contact with the heel part of my palm. So if I were to put my hand out like this, and I were to take my fingers and tap the bottom part of my palm, that's the area I'm making contact with. So from my fighting stance, it's the exact same movement. I'm still rotating my shoulders, rotating my hips, driving through my back leg, but now I'm hitting with my palm rather than my knuckles. All right, so the next technique we're gonna work on is our front kick to the groin, or as I like to refer to it, as our rising front kick. It's gonna look something like this. Switch. Switch. Now that we know what that front kick to the groin looks like, let's get started. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see my body better. From my fighting stance here, first thing I need to do is I need to get my hips engaged. So I'm going to lift my knee up, and I'm thinking of closing my hip this way. I'm also kind of rocking my hip forward. This is going to help get adequate drive and power behind my front kick. As my knee starts to rise, I'm now going to extend my leg out. It's almost like I have something sticky on the bottom of my shoe, and I'm thinking of flicking it off of my shoe this way. Ideally, I want to start making contact with the top part of my shin this way. I could hit anywhere from my toes all the way up to below my knee. Ideally, I want to hit just above my ankle this way. It gives me the most power. It's also a very hard surface. My leg is like a big baseball bat going up and in between the attacker's legs. If I hit with the top of my foot, that's fine, but I could end up damaging my toes, the small bones of my feet. I could end up hyperextending my ankle. Shin is most likely the best place I want to make contact with. So again, from our fighting stance, when I say go, we're to send the kick. Ready? Go. Hush. Go. Hush. Go. Hush. Imagine kicking the opponent in the throat. Their groin just happens to get in the way. Go. Hush. Go. Hush. Go. Hush. Go. Hush. And time. Now, we're going to take that front kick to the groin from our fighting stance, and we're going to apply it now to our passive stance. So I'm going to go into that passive neutral stance. My feet are about roughly shoulder to hip width apart. My hands are down like this. So I'm in an unprepared position. Maybe from here, I need to throw the strike. I'm not always going to be in a position of advantage. I need to work from a position of disadvantage too. So all we're going to do from here is I'm going to now throw my kick, and then I'm going to go into my fighting stance. From this side, I throw my kick, and now I land in my fighting stance. Notice, as I throw the kick, my knee comes up, my hands come up. I'm not stepping all the way back, but rather I'm touching my foot back down to roughly where it started, and now I'm moving into my fighting stance this way. So let's try it again. We're going to kick into our fighting stance. Go! 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 The reason why I want to move forward in my fighting stance is because I'm now being more aggressive, and I'm moving into more combatives and strikes. I don't want to start moving back where now I'm losing all that momentum, I'm losing all that aggression. I want to constantly think of moving forward and through my target as I continue the fight. Good. Now, what happens if we're too close to throw that front kick? Now we're going to resort to our knee strike. So I like to think of these as half of a kick. Because I'm so close, it doesn't make sense for me to extend my leg all the way through. I'm now going to shorten that kick, and I'm hitting now with the top of my knee this way. Now, depending on where I'm hitting to, maybe I'm hitting to the body, I want to think of my strike going straight forward and out. Every time I hit a target, I want to try and hit my target somewhere at a 90-degree angle. So if the target's vertical this way, I want to think of driving through at that 90-degree angle. If that target changes, I'm still trying to meet it at that 90 degrees. So I could be throwing my knee strike out to the body this way. Maybe I'm striking more to the groin this way. Maybe I end up hitting the opponent and they end up doubling over this way. Now I have strikes to the chest or strikes up to the face. Again, I'm meeting that angle with my knee this way. From our fighting stance, ready? When I say go, all we're gonna do is we're gonna lift that knee, punch the knee out, and then land back into our fighting stance. Ready? Go. Whoosh. Go. Whoosh. Go. Whoosh. Go. Whoosh. Another thing you want to keep in mind, I want to turn my knee into as sharp a point as possible. So I want to imagine having my credit card and sticking it inside my knee this way. I want to hold on to that credit card. I don't want to extend and have my knee follow through or my leg follow through, because I don't have the space right now. I need to hit with the top part of my knee. Again, go, whoosh, go, whoosh, go, whoosh, go, whoosh, and time. Now that we've done some of our hand strikes, some striking with our legs, let's start to now incorporate them into a little bit of shadow boxing. Shadow boxing is a very important skill to develop, and you can do it practically anywhere. You don't need a gym, you don't need to be in class training to practice your shadow boxing. It's a great way to keep your skills up while you're training remotely. So going back into our fighting stance. So we're going to work on moving around in my stance. Again, I can change my angles. And as I'm moving around, I can just start lightly throwing my punches. I can throw one punch. I can combination my punches. I can double up my punches this way. We're just moving around. Making sure you rotate your shoulders and your hips every time you throw your punches. Good. Now start throwing your legs. Throw your front kick. I can even switch my feet. But then get right back. I can start throwing those knees in. And time. All right, let's work on some self-defense. So the technique we're going to work on today is our choke to the front two-hand plucking option. It's going to look a little something like this. Now that we know what the self-defense should look like, let's get started. So we're going to start off in our passive neutral stance this way. So when I feel somebody's hands going around my throat, the immediate danger is their thumbs going into my windpipe, making it very hard for me to breathe. So I need to address the choke first. So the first thing I'm going to do, my hands are going to come up in towards my throat this way. My natural response is to bring my hands to where the pain is. So I'm bringing my hands up. I want to think of making nice high arches out of my arms. The higher I can reach my elbows to the ceiling, the deeper I can now get my hands in and around my opponent's hands this way. I want to think of turning my hands into little hooks, tucking my thumbs to the side and hooking my hands this way. Once I've gotten my hands inside of their hands, I'm going to draw a line with my wrists across my chest to my shoulders and then bringing them back and down this way. So my elbows go up, I roll them back, and I roll them down into my back pockets. It's like I have a quarter in between my shoulder blades. I'm reaching in and across, make it more explosive. Whoosh! Good, so now we're gonna add the second step. So once I've made my pluck, now I'm gonna throw my kick from my stance, and then I'm gonna land back into my fighting stance this way. In a fight, I wanna try and make these techniques as close to simultaneous as possible. But for practicing, we're gonna make it 2 different steps. Ready? 1, 2, reset. 1, 2, reset. One more time. 1, 2, now let's add in our hands to this. So count 3. 1, I make my pluck. 2, I make my kick. I land into my fighting stance. Count 3. Now I'm gonna let go with my dominant hand. I can now throw my punch. It can be a palm strike, hammer fist, elbow. We haven't gone over those, but I can incorporate those later, and then I can continue to strike, and then I can work on disengaging. With my count. 1, we make the pluck. 2, we send the kick. 3, we're clearing that hand, striking. I can follow up with more strikes, and then I disengage. It's really important. Once I feel the threat has now been dealt with, I need to escape as soon as possible. The longer I stay in the fight, the more danger I put myself into. Let's try it with my count. 1, 2, 3, clear, strike, strike, and then disengage. Again. 1, 2, 3, clear, strike. I can throw more strikes. Disengage from this angle. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. And time. And that's it for this lesson. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Keep in mind, as you're training by yourself, it's really important to practice visualization. Make sure you're still tapping into that right mindset. Even though you don't have somebody necessarily to train with, I want you to think of moving and having that intention behind your strikes. I'm making that face. I'm imagining striking through that target, causing damage with everything I throw. It's very important to maintain that to help keep our skill set up. But again, we're maintaining that mindset so that hopefully, if we need to use these skills, I'm going to be more successful in the fight and be able to get out sooner and safer. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Keep training, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next lesson.